Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is my hope that you're doing fine wherever you are. I'm also okay. I've been away on a business trip, and things that we take for granted, like fast and cheap internet, is a luxury in some of these countries, even the so-called developed countries. And so while I was away, a few things happened politically speaking. Most importantly, there was a grand reunion between William Ruto and Gideon Moi. There are people who are wondering what is the political significance. And opinion is divided. There are those who feel like there is nothing Gideon Moi is adding to William Ruto. And of course, there are also those who argue that there is nothing William Ruto can give to Gideon Moi as of now. Those who argue in that manner are saying that that political reunion was of no significance. In other words, you can say there was no change on the litmus paper. Now, I have a different view, and that is what I want to share with you. As far as I'm concerned, this was a very important political happening in this country. And I'm going to look at it from the angle of what is William Ruto gaining from this particular arrangement or reunion, and what does Gideon Moi stand to gain? Because as you know, politics is purely about interest, and it seems the interest of William Ruto and that of Gideon Moi are finally aligned. A brief history before we continue is that Gideon Moi and William Ruto are not strangers. They have worked together before. If you read what Macharia Gaido wrote about the YK92, he said that the people who used to call the shots were Jirongo, Gideon Moi, and others. William Ruto, according to this journalist, was a messenger, an errand boy, somebody they could send to go and bring them coffee. And so they have worked together. Even if it was not formal, they have worked together during that time. And then they've also worked together in Kanu, where Gideon Moi was playing an important role. Uhuru Kenyatta was there. And of course, William Ruto. They have worked together before. Their differences began when he realized that William Ruto had already taken or ran away with the Kalenjin nation. As Gideon Moi was still waiting for the blessings from his father so that he can inherit the Kalenjin, William Ruto already went with the Kalenjin nation. And this did not please Gideon, and he never shied away from expressing his dislike for William Ruto for taking away his birthright, so to say. And so these people have not been very close, and the drama has always played publicly. At times, Gideon Moi would not even greet William Ruto. William Ruto would stretch his hand. Gideon Moi would not even return the gesture and greet him. There was this time when Moi, the late, was sick, and people were visiting him, and William Ruto was denied access. In fact, it is only during this reunion that William Ruto was allowed to go and visit the grave. So it's been that bad, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there are those who argue that there was no need for William Ruto to try and reach out to Gideon Moi, and vice versa. Those who say that Gideon Moi didn't need William Ruto at all. But like I said, these people, even though they have been in conflict, they have worked together before, and working together now is of significance. And this is what I mean. What does William Ruto get from Gideon Moi? First, ask yourself, what role does Gideon Moi play in the Rift Valley politics? Gideon Moi is seen as the son of the former president, the person who led the Kalenjin community for a very long time. And so there are individuals who are still loyal to the Moi dynasty. And for them, William Ruto is a usurper, somebody who does not have the blessings of Moi, someone who took over without getting the blessings of the Wazee, in this case, of Moi. Moi did not hand over to him. So they see him as a usurper. And these people are not few. Also, they are also influential. And I want to explain influence here. Influence doesn't mean that you get elected. In some cases, you might be interested in a race and get elected. But influence, in most cases, ladies and gentlemen, mean that who listens to you? Do you have a clique or a group that do listen to you? And Gideon Moi and the people, the clique that support him, have that influence in Rift Valley. Not to the level of William Ruto, but influence nonetheless. And moving into 2027, you don't want a split backyard. I explained this in another video when I was giving you the reason why Rigathi Gachagua was picked as a running mate, even though he was the least qualified, and even though the people from Mount Kenya, the MPs who were asked to pick one, rejected him. It was because William Ruto was not going to move into 2022 with a divided mountain. A mountain where there are people who are saying no Rigathi, no Ruto. Anything that was going to divide his bloc or the people who had agreed to support him, anything that was going to dent that support was not going to be accepted. So William Ruto had to pick Rigathi Gachagua to make sure that the mountain is unified. In fact, when Kindiki rebelled, he reached out to Kindiki immediately and brought him on board, and he was the chief agent of William Ruto. You saw him at Bomas. So when moving into a serious election, you don't need a divided backyard. It doesn't matter whether you think those people are insignificant, whether you think those people don't have influence. You don't need a divided backyard. Even Raila Odinga has always tried this. He has made sure that whenever he's going into an election, there is no other Luo voice that is strong enough to challenge him in Luo Nyanza. He either crushes those people or find a way to get them on board. And that is what he has always done. Because when you are going into an election, you can't have a divided base. Bringing Gideon Moi on board plays two roles for William Ruto. One, it convinces those who thought he was a usurper of the Kalenjin leadership. It tells them that now William Ruto has the blessings of none other than the Mois. Okay? So it is like the handover actually happened, or belated, but it happened nonetheless. So people in the Kalenjin land now feel, even the ones who are having doubts about Ruto now feel that with the endorsement of the Mois, the Kalenjin community is now united. And two, Gideon Moi would have offered a stronger voice against William Ruto in Rift Valley. And that was unnecessary moving into 2027. So bringing him on board means that the Rift Valley is intact. And that is important to William Ruto. Once the Rift Valley is intact, now he can easily, peacefully look for votes elsewhere. But you see, if you have trouble at home, you have somebody like Gideon maybe also using his resources to sabotage you here and there, it is unnecessary, ladies and gentlemen. So William Ruto scored 2 points here. He got the endorsement of the Mois. Not that he desperately needed it, but there are people who felt like William Ruto usurped the leadership. And so with the Mois endorsing him, that is settled. Two, he has now a united Kalenjin behind him. That gives him peace of mind to go and look for votes elsewhere. What about Gideon Moi? Gideon Moi's political career was already dead. I don't want to lie to you that Gideon Moi would have won in the senatorial race. No, he was not a threat. It is the same as going to Luo Nyanza and vying against a candidate that is supported by ODM or Raila Odinga. You might be strong, you might be vocal, you might have a lot of people around you, but it is an uphill task, especially in a by-election. There is no way the people of Baringo are going to pick a senator to be in the opposition. they were going to pick a senator in UDA. Even if you look at the results of the previous election where Gideon Moi competed against the late Cheptumo, you would realize that the gap between them was so wide. In fact, Cheptumo doubled Gideon Moi's votes. You can confirm that. So it tells you that as influential as Gideon Moi is, as moneyed as he is no match to a people who are loyal to a specific party. And the people of Baringo are loyal to UDA for now. So his career was already dead either way. Even if he vied, he was still going to lose. However, by withdrawing from the race, Gideon Moi has scored two things. One, some people now believe that he was so influential that he would have won. But also, two, he is now owed. The powers that be now feel like they owe Gideon Moi. And to quote President Ruto, he said that when they spoke with Gideon, they had talked about the past, the present, and the future. And when William Ruto was talking about the future, he was simply pointing to a fact that Gideon Moi will play a role in the future politics of the Kalenjin. He is technically owed. And this is what I think might happen. Even though William Ruto cannot dictate who takes over from him in the Kalenjin land, just like Moi did not dictate who took over from him, if they are in line with Gideon Moi, it gives Gideon Moi a fighting chance to take over as the kingpin of the Kalenjin nation. That is something that works for Gideon Moi. So I want you to understand, Gideon Moi also gets 2 points. One, he covers his shame. People now feel that he was very influential. He was going to win this race, and the president could not face that humiliation. He had to go for him. So it covers him from the blames that he was already dead politically. Okay? But two, it gives him a future. Gideon Moi and William Ruto working together means that when William Ruto leaves, chances are that he will endorse Gideon Moi. Even though that might not definitely decide who takes over, but it will give Gideon Moi a fighting chance. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what I wanted to share with you. According to me, this reunion was very significant. The reunion between Gideon Moi and William Ruto was important. And just to summarize, Gideon Moi gains by looking politically viable. People see that he was so strong that Ruto had to talk him out of a race. And he is also owed because he has sacrificed for the president. He is now owed. The president will, in most cases, hand over the leadership of the Kalenjin back to him. As for William Ruto, he achieves two things. There are those who felt that William Ruto did not take the leadership of the Kalenjin the right way. It was not handed over to him by President Moi. Now, with the endorsement of Gideon and all the Mois there, he has that endorsement. The small clique in Kalenjin that were refusing the leadership of William Ruto, the people who are feeling like he was a usurper, now feel that he is a legitimate leader. That is very important in leadership. Two, Gideon Moi would have been a very interesting opposition voice in the Rift Valley. That would have distracted him. He would have to go back to Rift Valley to try and crush Gideon Moi. But with Gideon Moi on his side, William Ruto is now sorted in the Rift Valley. He can now focus on looking for votes elsewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what I wanted to share with you. If you found value in this video, let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, if you want to know why Moi did not like William Ruto so much, Watch this video.